Market update here on the 4th. I'm just going to go over the indexes only on this video. I was asked about small cap, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go on the RUT. I'm not going to do IWM. RUT should be more accurate. So going back to the very beginning, I think this is wave 1. This is wave 2 right here. You can see here that we went outside the parallel line right here and fell back right here. And then we got one more move higher. I think it's debatable whether wave 3 ended right here or if this is the end of wave 5. I would guess that we just finished wave 3, but I don't know. It's not going to really matter short term, but you can see we came out to the parallel line right here, had a nice correction with COVID, and then we had the move higher right here. So there's a chance on pretty much every index, there's a chance that we're in the middle of a second wave of a fifth wave. So the 1.61 fib only goes right here. So we didn't quite hit it right here either. So for this video, I'm just going to label this wave 3. And then I'm going to go in here on smaller time frames. I think it's probably a wave 3, but I don't know for sure. It could be wave 5 too, since we broke the parallel line right here. So we don't know, I guess. And this could be the start of a bigger correction that could take this down way, way far. So we'll start off here. Just look at the smaller time frames. And we have a wave down here, so DXY right here. Then we get in this long back and forth chop. I have it labeled as A, B, and then this is part, it's kind of tricky. This seems like it should be a 5-wave move, but it already hit my target right here. So it's kind of interesting because if the overall market's going to be going up till probably July, what is this going to do? I don't know exactly. But I would imagine it wouldn't go much past 231.4. Go ahead and mark that. I'll go over the other ones here in a second and show you what I'm expecting. But if this is the B wave right here, so this whole thing was like that. Like I said, this could be the end of it. But if we zoom in here, I think that this is my count. This is kind of a tricky count here because you have a big extension here. So it's kind of hard to say for sure, but 3, 4, and then you get a huge extension. And the only way that this makes sense, this right here on the smaller time frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull back, fourth wave, and then you get this crazy long extension. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can see here within that you get 1, 2, 3, 4. This is probably the 5th wave here or right here, but my calculations, that whole thing was the 3rd wave. So I think the 4th wave ended right here, and then we finished a 3rd wave of a 5th wave potentially. So right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's a B wave right there. And so if I'm right, then the 5th wave would be a pretty big 5th wave again. We get another extension kind of similar to this. But the overall market is close to correcting. So this would just mean that we have like 2 weeks of just a huge move on IWM. I'd probably target 21.3 based on the 1.23 fib. That's kind of my next target. I'd probably favor right there. And then that would complete either wave 1 of this C wave or that would be wave A. And I'd be looking at this as actually WXY. But it's also possible that that's only wave 1 and then we get a big correction, pull back, and then we go like this into the summer. So, you know, it doesn't really make that much sense because on this type of move, you would expect it to end right here because it's already finished the pattern. So the only way that this goes higher is an extension. It has to be an extension. So I'd be looking for maybe up here to the 2.61 fib. If we get a crazy extension, let's say we go to 21.3 right here. And we get a third wave up to here, 251, pull back, and maybe go up here to like 286. So it'd have to extend like that. But either way, after it gets done extending, I think it's going to at least come back down to here. But my target before was like 137. So 1370 for a pullback. So the whole thing's going to look like this. But again, the top's probably not going to happen to July, so I don't know if this is going to be ABC or it's going to be a 5-wave move. But after that, we should fall off a cliff. And if we zoom out again, the question remains, is this a 4th wave or is this the start of a bigger correction? So is this wave A like this, and then we come down here lower? Or is that wave 4 and we go higher? I'm kind of leaning towards it being wave 4. Considering how short this 5th wave was, I think that this is probably wave 3 right here. I think that maybe like David Hunter, those kind of people have gotten in my head a little bit to think that we're going to have a huge crash. Like they're saying 80% crash after we melt up this time. So I have that in my head, and but looking at the chart, this is what I see. I see a 4th wave taking maybe not 9 years, probably taking like 4 or 5 years, and then getting another move higher after that, maybe going into like 2030. So that is my count on IWM or on RUT. You're looking for potentially a little bit more upside short term, and then you're looking at a big correction going into March and April. So maybe a little bit more, and then a big correction, and then probably melt up even more. And a lot of the stocks that, the growth stocks, it kind of seems like they do that at the very end of a move. They end up taking off at the very end. So like, if we're about to correct the very last couple of weeks, all of a sudden they take off. And that just seems like it's maybe a short cover, and they want to start reshorting at a higher price again. So they do that right before the correction happens, stocks take off, and then they reshort for the correction. So that's my thoughts on it. Look for a little bit higher, probably going into Opex. So in Q, I'm going with the actual real, I'm not doing QQQ today. So this one, wave 3 happened here. I think wave 4 happened again, similar to the RUT. I think that this is actually the end of wave 4 though on NQ, because we're making a 5-wave move here. And so I think on this 5-wave move, we are in a 5th wave of a 3rd wave, and it's about to end. But there's a chance it can go all the way up to 19K. We still have NVIDIA earnings, so that's another thing to think about. We have NVIDIA earnings coming up. We could run all the way up to NVIDIA earnings, and here's my count. This actually kind of looks like an extension. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, slight pullback, and then we get this move, which looks like a wave 1, pullback wave 2, which would mean that we're only in wave 3. Let's double check that. Yeah, we're in wave 3 right now, and we're about to finish wave 3. Then we would pull back for like probably a week or so. My target on that would be like 17.4, so barely less than we're at right now. So like 18.2, 17.4, and then a move up here to like 19K to finish off the third wave. And then that's when we get the steep correction. Actually, the projections would say like early March on this, like March 9th, if I just follow like the length of time for all this. And then we get a month-long, really hard correction. And we would bottom sometime in early April around like 16.5. And then we would melt up to, I don't think we're going to go to 30,000 anytime soon. I think we'd probably melt up here to like 21, 22, something like that. And then that would complete the overall fifth wave. So, and the reason I say I don't think we're going all the way up to 30K, which could be the target based on this wave 1, is I think that we're probably finishing wave 1 of 5, just based on the length. If you look at the length of this wave 1 took 5 years. We started this on the end of 2022. We're only at 2024. I think that this is going to last a little bit longer. So I could see us with going up to like 21, 22,000 and then pulling back down here to like 13, 14,000. And then after that, going up to potentially higher than that, maybe like 30,000. So if I just take the first wave and put it at the top here, the fourth wave, so right here, this gives me like 30,000. So 30,000 is my target. Or I guess 29,000 is my target. So I think there's a good chance this is either wave 1. If it were to extend to 29,000 in the next 5 months, that would be insane. So I can't say that. I think it's probably going to be end of wave 1, get a deep correction, and then a wave 3, 4, and 5. It could go even higher than 30,000. Maybe it goes to 35,000 or so. But I think short terms, all we got to worry about, like, figuring out the next 5 years is pretty tough. So look for a little bit higher early in the week, and then I'm looking for a decent correction, maybe for like a week or so. And then another move higher up here to like 19K, and then we get the real correction. And then after that, one more melt up. So that's NQ, and then ES is actually the easiest to see. So we have WXY here, didn't quite hit the 1.61 fib. And this was WXY within a W wave, so that. Then we get this move, that's the X. So I think that we are in the W wave right here. Call it whatever you want. This melt up, you can see here, we're basically at the exact same spot. So we're very, very close to correction. And also timing-wise, October 13th, February 2nd, that's like 3 months. Is that right? No, that is 3.5 months, basically. So this started October 30th. How long has it been? 1, 2, 3 months. So a half would be about February 17th or so. So we're about a week or two away on ES, I think. So maybe at NASDAQ will be sooner as well. But then I'm just looking for a correction. And on ES, I think this is clearly a B wave. So the max I'm looking for is, well, if you take it from the W wave, I think the max I'm looking for is right around 5,500. And so if you take this right here and see how far pull back from to hit it, it's about 4,500. So I think we're going to see let's see if we go to 5,000, we'll probably see about 10% correction. And you can see here, this only took about a month. And if you remember that correction from March of last year, that was a pretty hard correction. And the VIX went like crazy. It went up to like the mid 20s. That was like the only correction we had that was actually like pretty hard. So I think you're looking at something similar to this. This took about a month and a half. So February 17th, probably to early April, we're looking for a correction back to here. And then you're looking for this probably July, but maybe September. And then the whole move is what I'm looking for is something like this to at least here, maybe farther, who knows. The C wave might finally actually happen, and if we zoom out here again, that's probably going to end up being a second wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. If it's a top, then it doesn't really matter because after the C wave happens, then you're going to get a bounce anyway. And so then you can kind of figure out if this is not an impulse move, then it's probably a B wave, and then you can figure that out. So basically on all of the indexes right now, there's like maybe one or two more moves up. The NASDAQ might have a little bit more than ES or the RUT, but the RUT looks like it could probably go a little bit higher, potentially break this high in the next couple of weeks. And if not, my count's wrong. It's kind of a tough count right now. So there's a possibility that I'm wrong and this is already topped out. If that happens, then you're probably looking at something higher here. And then you're looking for that move down into April like that. And then you look for a move higher. So that's pretty much all I got to say on that. The dollar ties in with this like perfectly too, because you can see a target date end of June. I expect it to be down in here, and then after that, I'm looking for this up to potentially like 130. So the dollar got to like June, July, and then 130. And what do you think is going to happen to all of the indexes when that happens? They're going to crash hard. So, but then after that, we should see a pullback, and then maybe even, let's see, we might even see something like the hyperinflation starts after that. So 2026 hyperinflation starts, and then the markets go like crazy for 4 or 5 years into 2030. So that's my forecast for the next couple of weeks, and then long term, look for a little bit higher, probably into Opex, and then the NASDAQ can go a little bit farther, maybe into early March. But as I showed you, ES is like basically topped out. And I didn't show one other pattern that I was looking at. This is kind of interesting too. We basically nailed, depending on where you draw it, we nailed the 1.61 fib for this move. So I would give it like a 5% chance that this is a something like that. And this is still like the X wave. I would still give it like a 5% chance. I think it's probably more like this. This would be crazy if it fell down here. If it's an expanded flat, it could come all the way down here and then melt up. So that's it for now. Look for a little bit higher over the next couple of weeks. And I'm expecting growth stocks to take off in the next couple of weeks. And I think NASDAQ and the RUT are probably going to be do a little bit better than the overall S&P. So we'll see how that goes. That's it for now. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates. Talk with you soon.